Hey Pokemon Masters, Perky here, and welcome back. I love Pokemon theories. I love answering questions about specific characters and locations and how they tie into each other. But there are some bigger questions about the Pokemon world that need answering from time to time. Questions like, who is Ash's dad? Or what level is Ash's Pikachu? Or is this the end of Pokemon as we know it? All of those videos I worked on are all on Noggin. None on my own channel, I gotta get some more here. That said, I am very inspired by channels like Noggin and Game Theory, The Game Theorists. Those are channels that partially inspired this channel's creation. And one of my favourite topics to see on these channels is what is the value of in-game currency. I've seen Game Theory cover the Zelda universe and the Fallout universe, two of my 3 favourite franchises, but not my favourite one, the Pokemon universe. So that's what we're going to be dealing with today. What is the value of the Pokedollar? And how much is a Pokeball actually worth? But in order to tackle this topic, we need to determine how currency actually works in the real world. So, in layman, basic terms, the way money works is that we agree that money is worth something. This is a 10p coin, which in the UK is worth 10p, and this is a Charizard, which at certain Pokemon tournaments or back in the day on the playground would have been worth probably a lot more. That said, to people in America, this 10p coin is pretty useless. It's not the currency they trade in, and to a Yu-Gi-Oh player who's maybe not interested in the Pokemon card game, this is a terrible shiny bit of material. Please don't tear up my Charizard. The point is, these things have value because we agree that they do, and in different countries, of course, we have different currency. This is a 10p coin and a 10c coin from America, and neither of them are particularly different to each other. I mean, they're both metal silver coins that are about the same sort of height and weight and whatever. But if you wanted to spend the 10c coin here in the UK, you'd have to get it exchanged to our currency, and it would probably lose or gain value depending on the value of the British pound or the US dollar at the time. How is that value determined, you might wonder? Well, it's because, and certainly not in all cases or necessarily even in modern day, that money is supposed to represent a resource that the country has. A resource, a group of resources, and most commonly throughout history, money represents a rare material, something that can't be easily mass-produced. And there is one resource that seems to be pretty commonly used for this kind of thing. Gold. Let's say that all the regions of the Pokemon world agree that gold is worth the exact same, which actually they have. And underneath the nugget road in Kanto, they find loads of nuggets in the water. Lots and lots of gold. But whereas in Johto, nuggets are maybe harder to come by and they don't have as much luck finding them. It means that Kanto can print more money to represent the amount of gold that they have, making them a wealthier country, theoretically speaking. And like I say, gold does exist in the game. In fact, there's a whole category of items called valuable items, which only exist to be sold to characters in the Pokemon world. Mostly to shops, but some are to rare collectors like rare bones and giant mushrooms. Those things are actually a low price in the shop and just a high price when you trade them to collectors, so we can eliminate a few of those. But that does leave us still with some very valuable minerals, for example gold, silver, pearls, and star bits. Hey, gold, silver, pearl, stars? Pokemon stars confirmed! And again, it makes sense that the Pokemon government would want to collect these things because it means that region-wide it can up the value of what that region is worth based on the rare materials that exist there. However, unlike MatPat in his video about Fallout, I sadly cannot use gold as a standard to work out the value of the Pokedollar. And this is because we don't know anything about the nugget or big nugget other than how much they're worth. We don't know what quality of gold they are or how much they weigh. That said, there is another resource we could use to work it out. Water. In the game, bottled water costs 200 Pokedollars, which sounds like a lot, but different currencies use different values to determine how much things are worth, and actually, it's not that unusual. 200 Pokedollars for a bottle of water, or here in the UK, somewhere between 50p and £1.50, or in the US, somewhere between 60 cents and $1.20. So, 200 Pokedollars is equal to £1 or $1, roughly. Now, we can go back to look at the prices of our Pokeball and discover that it costs... wait, exactly the same? This marvel of technology equals the same as a bottle of regular water? Oh no, something's not right here either. Not only that, but when you take into consideration things like the bike, which famously costs 1,000,000 Pokedollars, that's 5,000 times more expensive than a bottle of water or a Pokeball, you begin to wonder, can these prices possibly be right? Man, 5 grand for a bike? No wonder Misty was so upset. A £5,000 bike is not unheard of, it's just sort of Olympic level for young children to be cycling around the region on. And furthermore, again, this idea that a Pokeball, a marvel of technology, would cost the same as a bottle of regular water is maybe kind of absurd. It means one of two things. Either a Pokeball is incredibly easy to mass produce, actually as easy to produce as a bottle of water, which seems unlikely, or that the bottle of water in the Pokemon world simply has different properties and values to it than a regular bottle of water in our world. After all, it does instantly heal up 50 HP of a Pokemon's health, so maybe that's the case. Water in the Pokemon world is simply more like medicine, which means again, we can't use water in our own world to compare it. So again, we are back to the drawing board, but never mind, 3 times the charm, and there was someone else who did manage to sort of tackle this question before, and that was my friend M&JTV Pokevids. In his video, he equates the Pokedollar to yen, which is the currency that it's based off, and if you do that, and we'll take a look at it now, you can see that there are some similarities. So first of all, yes, Japanese yen is what the Pokedollar is based off, and heck, in the anime, there's even a shot where Ash pays for a meal that costs 1,150 yen, which for your average bowl of rice or noodles or whatever it is he's eating sounds about right. It works out at about £7, £8, or about $10. $10 for a sit-down meal? Yeah, that makes sense. And a flat conversion of 200 yen to American dollars works out at about $1.70, which still seems a bit low for a Pokeball, but maybe it makes sense, because maybe here I'm asking the wrong question. Because yes, while doing a flat conversion of yen to Pokedollars is a pretty boring conclusion to come to, and I'm sad that I've come to the exact same conclusion as M&J and I couldn't work out based off the weight of a nugget or based off the value of water, it does lead us to a much bigger, more interesting question, which is how does the economics of the Pokemon world actually work in relation to that universe? Because the idea of $1.70 for a Pokeball seems pretty cheap, and $8,000, which would be the yen conversion to American dollars for a bicycle, is ridiculous. But think about this. That $8,000 bicycle can be obtained for free in the Pokemon world if you have a coupon. Seriously, a coupon, or in some cases, bicycle shops just want you to advertise the bikes. You're the lucky 1,000th customer, you turn up and they're like, here, have a free bike to advertise us. That's ridiculous. That's like walking into the Apple store with a coupon and going up and getting their highest end bit of equipment and going, just have that for this coupon that I was given, please. And this is where we get to the real interesting bit. If that's the case, then what is the economy of the Pokemon world? The only real world equivalent to that kind of thing is, say, a bursary or a grant for education, student loans, or maybe an athlete being sponsored. Clearly, the Pokemon government, the Pokemon economy has these plans in place so that while, yes, these Olympic level bikes are expensive to the general consumer, they want as many trainers out there getting from A to B, traveling around the world and training their Pokemon as possible. And that makes sense as to why Pokeballs are so cheap and why water has medicine in it. It makes sense as to why healthcare is free in the Pokemon world, the Pokemon centers. Everything makes sense if you consider that the Pokemon economy is simply different to our own. It's not based on sitting in, going out, doing your job, and then coming home and eating food. Part of it is, but they have a big focus on training up as many trainers as possible. And why? Why would a region want as many powerful Pokemon trainers as possible? And this is where we get to a new question for another video in the near future. Why would you want all of these powerful Pokemon trainers and all of their Pokemon? Why would you want to encourage that? Is it, of course, just for fun and good sport that this whole world revolves around? Or is it because they're preparing for something? Because the Pokemon world has seen itself destroyed and ravaged by the wars of both men and Pokemon fought side by side. And wouldn't it make sense if you had an economy to make sure that you have the biggest unknowing military possible? Perhaps the Pokemon government is recruiting. But that, as I say, is a topic for another video. Speaking of the currency of the Pokemon world, one of the little areas I was looking into, however, was the Kaban, which is the coin on Meowth's head. When Meowth and Persian use Payday, they release loads of coins onto the field. And there's actually this whole dynamic of earning money from trainers you beat, and if you're holding the amulet coin, then you get double. And while I did want to tie it in somehow, I actually couldn't find a place to bring it all in, so maybe that will come up in the next video about this topic. However, what I will say is you can get these Kaban, these little pin badges, at Game Tea, which is the same place where you can get the new posters that are lining my background. They don't come in this size. This size is exclusively for my backdrop, but they do come as these sort of art prints. This is another one of Giratina that I really, really like, that you can get framed, and they're a little bit smaller, but they are very, very cool, and I love the artwork that's been done here. And every time a set of these is bought, it really helps out the economy of my channel and allowing me to make bigger and better stuff. So thank you so much for watching, and I hope you check these out. Links to everything you need are in the description below. So hi, Pokemon Masters. A thank you to my Patreon supporters of the month, and a big special thank you to the big supporters of the month, those being Victor Casado and John D. Gottlich. Thank you.
This is Ash Ketchum. You just watched a video by Birdkeeper Toby. That makes you a Pokemon Master!